Critiques of the Trump administration's focus on Somali communities in the United States. The tenure of President Donald Trump was marked by a series of policy decisions and rhetoric that often singled out specific demographic groups within the United States. Among these, the focused attention on Somali immigrant and refugee communities drew significant criticism from civil rights organizations, legal scholars, and community advocates. This targeting, manifesting through heightened surveillance, restrictive immigration policies, and public commentary, raised fundamental questions about fairness, constitutional protections, and the principles of American pluralism. Examining the nature and impact of these actions reveals several deep-seated concerns regarding the administration's approach to national security and immigrant integration. One primary area of contention stemmed from the administration's framing of the Somali community, particularly those settled in areas like Minneapolis, Minnesota, as a unique security threat. While national security concerns are legitimate governmental responsibilities, critics argued that the administration disproportionately linked this specific diaspora group to terrorism, often without commensurate evidence that justified broad policy adjustments directed solely at them. For instance, reports and public statements frequently highlighted isolated incidents of radicalization among a small minority, generalizing these cases to paint the entire community as suspect. This generalized suspicion undermined the reality of the vast majority of Somali Americans who are law-abiding citizens, business owners, and active participants in the American economy and social fabric. Furthermore, the targeting was evident in shifts in immigration enforcement and refugee processing. The Trump administration made considerable efforts to restrict the entry of refugees, often citing dangers associated with inadequate vetting processes. While the goal of security vetting is broadly supported, the policies enacted often appeared to specifically disadvantage individuals from Somalia and other Muslim-majority nations. Travel bans, although frequently litigated and partially blocked by courts, created an atmosphere of instability and fear within communities already facing integration challenges. For refugees who fled extreme violence and instability in Somalia, these policies represented a betrayal of the humanitarian promise that resettlement programs are intended to embody. The impact of this targeted focus on the community's social and civic life cannot be overstated. When a government narrative continually emphasizes suspicion, it fosters an environment of mistrust between the community and law enforcement agencies. This mistrust makes effective cooperation on genuine public safety matters significantly harder. Community leaders often noted that increased scrutiny, sometimes bordering on unwarranted surveillance of mosques or community centers, can lead to social isolation. Instead of promoting integration, policies perceived as discriminatory can push vulnerable populations toward the margins, ironically creating the conditions that make monitoring and intervention more difficult. Moreover, the administration's rhetoric often overlapped with broader themes of nativism and anti-immigrant sentiment. Public discourse that characterized immigrants as invaders or criminals had a chilling effect on the political participation and sense of belonging for many in the Somali American community. Legal challenges often centered on whether these actions violated the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment, arguing that singling out a specific ethnic or national origin group for enhanced scrutiny without clear, individualized suspicion constituted unconstitutional discrimination. The principle of equal treatment under the law suggests that security measures should be applied based on threat assessment, not on national origin or religious affiliation. In conclusion, the targeting of Somali communities by the Trump administration was problematic on several fronts. It involved the disproportionate linkage of an entire diaspora group to security threats, the implementation of restrictive immigration policies that specifically hampered their movement and status, and rhetoric that fostered an atmosphere of suspicion rather than partnership. While ensuring national security remains paramount, effective security policy demands precision and adherence to constitutional principles. When policy appears to be driven by demographic generalization rather than evidence-based threat assessment, it risks alienating large segments of the population, undermining social cohesion, and failing to uphold the fundamental American commitment to fairness for all residents.